Inverses. We have talked about inverses before, and what inverses actually are. They are a reflection over the line y equals x. And we're going to talk about our inverses in relation to our square roots and quadratics. So what does our square root function inverse look like? The inverse of a square root is a quadratic function with some restrictions. Remember, our quadratic is y equals x squared. That's what we mean by quadratic. Okay, so you can see here is our square root of x function. This is our y equals x. And when we reflect this blue line over that line of y equals x, we get this one of x squared. So our steps here are going to be the exact same that we were doing when we were talking about our inverse functions. So we're going to replace our f of x with a y, and then we are going to switch our x's and our y's, and we are going to solve for y. Finally, we will rewrite our y as f of negative 1x. Remember, that means inverse. That's our inverse function. So let's do that. We got f of x equals square root of x. So rewrite f of x as y. Now I'm going to switch my x and y. So x equals square root of y. Now I'm going to solve for y. I need to get y by itself. Remember, when we're doing this, we're trying to get y by itself, and we're doing opposite functions, opposite operations on these to get that by itself. So opposite of a square root is square. If I do it to one side, I got to do it to the other. So x squared equals, if I take the square of the square root, those go away, and I'm just left with y. So rewrite that. We got y by itself. We're done. So we can rewrite that y as f of negative 1, x equals x squared. And that is final answer. Okay, let's try another one. Rewrite f of x as y. Y equals x squared minus 5. Switch our x and y. X equals square root of y minus 5. Solve for y. So we need to get y by itself. Right now, it's the square root's being taken out and it's being subtracted. 5 is being subtracted from it. So we need to get y by itself. Remember, the first thing we always want to take care of is anything being added or subtracted to it. So since we're subtracting, we need to add. So x plus 5 equals square root of y. And now we've got y on one side by itself, but it's still being, the square root's still being taken of it. So the opposite is our square. Remember, if you do it to one side, you do it to the other. So x plus 5 squared. This goes away, that goes away, and we're just left with our y. So we're done. Y is by itself. I'm okay if you leave your answer in this form. So f of negative 1 of x equals x plus 5 squared. Let's try one more. Y equals x plus 6 plus 2. I forgot to switch your x and y. X equals y plus 6 plus 2. Solve for y. Deal with the added or subtracted first. It's being added, so let's subtract. X minus 2 equals square root of y plus 6. now I need to get rid of the square root by squaring it. Square both sides. So x minus 2 squared equals y plus 6. Y is still not by itself this time, so it's 6 is being added to it, so I need to subtract 6. Subtract 6 from both sides. Equals y. Now y is by itself, so we might not see our answers in this order. What we might see is it all multiplied out. So remember, x minus 2 squared really is x minus 2 times x minus 2. And then minus 6. So let's go ahead and multiply this out. When I multiply this out, remember I have to FOIL or distribute. So that means this times this, x squared. X times negative 2 minus 2x. And then this times this, negative 2x. This times this. Negative 2 times negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 4. And then don't forget your minus 6 equals our y. Combine like terms. So x squared, we don't have any, let me move that right here. We don't have any other x squareds to combine. Minus 2x, those are like terms, and that's minus 4x. These numbers out here are like terms, negative 2. Now we have everything multiplied out, all of our like terms combined, and our y by itself. This finally is our final answer, and I can put it in f of negative 1 of x. Okay, the important part to remember is switching your x and y, solving for y, getting y completely and entirely by itself. And if you've got two terms that are multiplied by each other, we've got to FOIL and distribute in order to get that final answer.